Elara Thompson's story starts in the heart of Atlanta, where she grew up in a small, vibrant neighborhood, raised by a single mother who poured lessons of grit and grace into her. Elara's childhood was filled with dreams of a love that would sweep her off her feet, a fairy tale to escape the struggles of being a young black woman in a world that often felt stacked against her. She worked hard, earning a degree in marketing, but her heart always yearned for a partner to share her victories. Enter Marcus, a smooth-talking tech executive she met 5 years ago at a glitzy corporate gala. His charm was magnetic, flashing smiles, promises of a shared future, and a confidence that made Elara feel like she'd found her missing piece. Their romance bloomed fast, with late-night talks about building a legacy, cozy dinners where they laughed over shared ambitions, and Elara often putting her own career on hold to cheer Marcus's rise in the tech world. She believed in him, in them, with every fiber of her being, but there were cracks she ignored. Marcus's business trips grew frequent, his phone often out of reach. He'd brush off questions about exes or dodge deeper talks about their future, always with a charming excuse. Elara, head over heels, silenced her gut's whispers, convincing herself love meant trust, no matter what. She poured her soul into their relationship, planning date nights, supporting his pitches, even co-signing loans for their dream home and his startup, all because he said it was for us. Her love was unwavering, a beacon of care in a world that often felt cold. The proposal came like a scene from a movie. On a moonlit beach in the Bahamas, Marcus dropped to one knee, a diamond ring sparkling under the stars. Elara's heart soared as she said yes, tears streaming down her face. She saw kids, a home filled with laughter, a partnership to conquer the world. Back in Atlanta, she threw herself into wedding planning, picking a breathtaking oceanfront estate, choosing roses that matched her vibrant spirit, and inviting family who'd watched her climb from humble roots. Marcus, though, seemed off, distracted, blaming work stress, his eyes never quite meeting hers. She chalked it up to pre-wedding jitters, her love blinding her to the storm brewing. The night before the wedding, Elara couldn't sleep, her heart buzzing with excitement and a nagging unease. On a whim, she decided to surprise Marcus at his hotel suite with a handwritten note pouring out her love. Her heels clicked softly on the marble floor as she approached, but muffled laughter stopped her cold. Heart pounding, she nudged the door open. There, in the dim glow, was Marcus, tangled in sheets with Vanessa, his colleague. Elara's world froze. Their whispers cut like knives, Marcus confessing he never planned to marry her, calling Vanessa his real love, plotting to cancel the wedding and disappear together. Elara's knees buckled, but she slipped away unseen, tears blurring the city lights as she drove through the night. Her mind replayed every moment she'd given Marcus, every late night helping him, every dollar she'd invested in their shared dreams. Rage mixed with sorrow as she realized how much she'd sacrificed. Back in her bridal suite, she collapsed, sobs shaking her body. How could she have been so blind? But then, her mother's voice echoed, "Never let anyone take your power." Wiping her tears, Elara rummaged through a locked box, pulling out documents she'd almost forgotten. Months ago, Marcus had convinced her to put assets in her name, their house, cars, his startup, all for tax purposes, he'd said. Now, those deeds were her lifeline, proof she held everything he valued. Dawn broke, and Elara stood before her mirror, her dark skin glowing despite the pain in her eyes. She applied her makeup, each stroke a shield against her heartbreak. She wouldn't confront Marcus yet. Instead, she'd let the day unfold, her resolve hardening like steel. Guests arrived at the venue, their chatter filling the air with joy. Elara's family beamed, her aunts sharing stories of her childhood strength, while Marcus's side mingled, clueless about the chaos to come. The scent of roses hung heavy, the ocean breeze carrying whispers of celebration. Then, a text from Marcus to the planner, "Cancel the wedding. Family emergency." Gasps rippled through the crowd as the planner scrambled to explain. Elara's best friend, Tasha, rushed to her, assuming she was broken. But Elara, in her flowing white gown, stood tall, her beauty a quiet storm. She stepped forward, her voice steady but raw, addressing the crowd. "The wedding's off," she said, pausing as murmurs grew. Then, with fire in her eyes, she told the truth: Marcus's betrayal, his affair, his plan to leave her humiliated. The crowd's shock was palpable, her family's gasps mixing with strangers' whispers. Elara's mind flashed back to moments of her care, nursing Marcus through flu, staying up late to perfect his presentations, only to now see how one-sided it was. He'd taken her love, her trust, her resources, giving nothing but lies in return. Her heart ached, but her spirit roared. She clutched the deeds, her fingers steady now, ready to flip the script. Tasha squeezed her hand, whispering, "You're a queen." Elara's lips curved slightly, her pain fueling her power. She wasn't just a jilted bride, she was a woman about to reclaim everything. As Marcus arrived, flustered and spinning lies, Elara's gaze locked on him, her silence louder than any scream. The air crackled with anticipation, her next move hanging like a storm cloud ready to burst. Elara stood before the stunned crowd, her white gown shimmering under the chandelier's glow, the deeds to everything Marcus owned clutched tightly in her hand. Her voice, once trembling with hurt, now carried a fire that silenced the whispers. "He thought he could break me," she said, her eyes blazing, "but I hold the keys to his world." The room erupted in gasps as she raised the documents, legal proof of her ownership over their home, cars, investments, and Marcus's precious startup. Her heart pounded, not with fear, but with the thrill of reclaiming her power. This was no longer about a wedding, it was about justice, and she was ready to serve it. Marcus's face drained of color, his mouth opening to spew excuses. "Elara, it's not what you think," he stammered, but she cut him off with a single raised hand. She'd spent the morning preparing, her pain forging a plan. With a nod to Tasha, her best friend, a projector flickered to life, displaying texts and emails between Marcus and Vanessa, damning evidence of their 2-year affair. The crowd's murmurs turned to outrage as messages revealed his plot to ditch Elara at the altar. "You planned to leave me with nothing," Elara said, her voice steady, "but you forgot who signed for everything." Her words landed like a punch, and Marcus shrank under the weight of his own lies. Vanessa, who'd slipped into the venue hoping to gloat, stepped forward, her face flushed with panic. "We're in love," she cried, but the crowd's boos drowned her out. Elara's family glared, her mother's proud nod giving her strength. Elara didn't flinch, her poise a stark contrast to Vanessa's desperation. She remembered the nights she'd stayed up, crunching numbers for Marcus's startup, only for him to claim the glory. Her love had been a gift, poured out freely, but he'd only taken, never giving back. The betrayal stung, but it also lit a spark. She was done being invisible. Security arrived, escorting Marcus and Vanessa out as the crowd's disapproval echoed. Elara's heart raced, but not from sorrow. She felt alive, her mother's words ringing true, "Your power is yours alone." As the doors closed behind the disgraced pair, Tasha hugged her tightly, whispering, "You did that, Queen." Elara's eyes glistened, but her smile was fierce. She turned to the guests, her voice softening. "Thank you for being here," she said. "Today wasn't the day I planned, but it's the day I take back my life." Applause broke out, her aunts cheering loudest, their pride wrapping her like a warm blanket. In the days that followed, Elara didn't wallow. She got to work, liquidating assets with a lawyer's precision. The house, the cars, the startup, all sold, the funds funneled into her dream, a non-profit to empower women who'd faced betrayal like hers. She named it Rise Up, a beacon for healing and strength. The emotional weight of Marcus's deceit lingered, but she channeled it into purpose, her pain becoming a catalyst for change. Her family rallied, her cousins helping with the non-profit's launch, their laughter filling her new apartment as they planned a brighter future. The story of Alara's stand spread like wildfire. Local news outlets clamored for interviews, and she spoke with raw honesty, her dark eyes captivating viewers. "Betrayal hurts," she said on a morning show, "but it doesn't define you. Your worth does." Her words struck a chord, especially with black women who'd felt undervalued, their love taken for granted. Social media buzzed, hashtags like #AlaraRises trending as strangers shared their own stories of overcoming heartbreak. Her inbox overflowed with messages from women inspired by her courage, each one a reminder that her pain had purpose. Marcus faced the fallout alone. His startup collapsed without Alara's assets, and Vanessa, true to form, vanished when his money did. He sent desperate texts, begging for forgiveness, but Alara blocked him, her heart no longer his to wound. She remembered the moments she'd cared for him, cooking his favorite meals, cheering his smallest wins, only to see now how one-sided it was. Her love had been a river, deep and constant, but his had been a mirage. Letting go wasn't easy, but it was freedom. Alara took time for herself, rediscovering passions she'd set aside. She painted again, vibrant canvases of sunsets and storms, each stroke healing a piece of her soul. She wrote poetry, words spilling out about resilience and self-love, shared on her blog to inspire others. One evening, at a local art gallery, she met Jordan, a kind-hearted entrepreneur with eyes that saw her, not through her. He listened, laughed at her jokes, and asked about her dreams, not her past. Unlike Marcus, his care felt mutual, but Alara moved slowly, guarding her heart with wisdom earned through pain. Her nonprofit grew, hosting workshops where women shared stories and rebuilt confidence. At Rise Up's launch gala, Alara stood in a bold red dress, her laughter ringing as she toasted to new beginnings. Survivors spoke, their voices echoing her own journey, and the room brimmed with hope. She thought of the societal pressures she'd faced, expectations to endure silently, to shrink herself for love, but she'd shattered those chains. Her story wasn't just hers anymore, it was a rallying cry for anyone who'd been undervalued. Months later, Alara stood on her balcony, the Atlanta skyline twinkling below. The deeds had been her weapon, but her true strength was her spirit. She'd turned betrayal into triumph, not by revenge, but by rising above. Marcus sent one last letter, a pathetic plea, but she tossed it unopened, her heart light. Jordan joined her at the gala, his hand brushing hers, a promise of something real. As she sipped champagne, Alara smiled, her future wide open. She wasn't just a woman who'd survived, she was a force, a queen who'd claimed her crown.